There were a lot of feelings of, I wouldn't say guilt, or shame necessarily, but maybe that's what it was. But I think there was definitely feelings of identity crisis that came up with considering that I might not have children. My mom was a stay-at-home mom for a good chunk of my childhood. She stayed home until I was probably in middle school. And then even then she started working part-time, and didn't work full-time really until I was in high school. And then she worked at my high school. So she was very involved every step of the way. And my mom loved being a mom. Like I think everyone who meets her too, like she is phenomenal. And I think she was just having the time of her life. So, it's no surprise that I kind of grew up with that same messaging of, someday when you have children and when you have a daughter someday and all this kind of stuff. It was just assumed, it was very baked in. And yeah, I had a really specific vision and that felt good to me at the time. That sounded good. And then kind of when we got to a place where we were starting to be ready, I started to be like backpedaling. Hold on, I'm not sure anymore. So I think that is something I really struggled with. It was more of an identity crisis of like, what kind of woman am I? I'm not the woman I would have thought I was my whole life. Like this is a whole personality change is what it felt like. If I'm making this decision, like, am I throwing out my entire, at the time, what would that have been? 34 years of life of like how I perceived myself and the future I wanted and who I thought I was. And at first, to be fair, my mom was very much like, oh, all that love and stuff just floods in, I'd be like, I don't know if I want to be, pregnant. She's like, oh, it's, you'll just know what to do, instincts. I think she was giving me some of that kind of language at first because I don't think she understood how truly on the fence I was. I think she just thought I needed a little reassurance. But as I started to feel a little bit clearer, I started kind of telling her, like, I don't think this is something that I'm gonna do. Like the phrase that kept coming to me was, I want to have kids, but I don't. And it was so painful for me because I wanted desperately to get myself to a point where I could move forward. But I felt like no matter how hard I flung myself toward motherhood, like it was like this hurdle I just couldn't clear. Like I just couldn't get over the hump. And so I started to kind of explain that to her. And I could tell she was disappointed. But to my mom's credit, she never expressed that. She always was very supportive. She always listened. She really heard what I was saying. And then I think over time too, I was also able to not sell her on it, but I was like, look, I'm not going to have children of my own, so I'm excited to invest in my relationship with you. Like this is a way that, we can have a mother-daughter relationship that's, I mean, we would still have that if I did have children, but it would look different. There would be a lot of focus on grandma and your relationship with my children and me running around like crazy, not being able to sit down and really have a conversation. Now we go on trips together. We've been to Europe twice together and had these mother-daughter vacations. So I think it's really an invitation of, okay, well, if we're not having the experience the traditional way, like what does it look like? What are some ways that we could be a little outside the box? We can have special experiences just in a slightly different way, which I really love.